Welcome back to Honest Tea Talks with
Welcome, Ashley
and Ronnie. If you're gonna namaste, I'm gonna namaste too. Thank you for watching. This is what happens when there's no script, okay?
I don't think there's one video where we started where we're not laughing.
Yeah, we always... Laughter is the best medicine, and I think I say it in almost every video as well.
It's our warm-up.
It is.
You just don't even know it.
Nope.
We warm you up with laughter.
Yes, we are sending you those good vibrations.
Send you good vibrations. That should maybe be your intro song.
Oh, I like that. See, you guys are a part of the process.
Awesome.
If you've made it this far, you've seen us evolve. You've seen us grow.
Yes.
You've seen us break barriers.
And
which is our
me.
topic today.
I love
Yeah, I'm great with the lead-ins.
Every time.
Yeah, so today's topic, we'll jump right into it, is breaking cultural barriers. So obviously we have Hispanic culture. Any specific?
Boricua, Morena, Puerto Rican, Dominican.
Oh, is that what you guys say?
Yeah.
So Boricua is Puerto Rican?
Boricua, Morena means like dark skinned girl.
Oh.
Like they usually
So
call
I'd be
like
Morena?
Dominican. Yeah, you would be Morena.
Oh.
Morena. So Boricua is like Puerto Rican from Borinquen. But they usually call Puerto Ricans Boricuas.
Okay.
Boricuas and Dominican. Dominicanas.
Okay.
Dominicana, eh.
And I'm a goddess.
Oh my god, I was not expecting that.
I'm
That
Indian,
was
East
great.
Indian. But we believe in goddesses. So.
We do. That's awesome. That's great. Oh my god, that was.
So today we're talking about breaking cultural barriers in regards to Hispanic culture and Indian culture.
Yes.
Who wants to go first? I don't know how we're gonna do that.
You got the mic.
Testing 1 2. We always talk about being in America and how we're conditioned, right?
Yeah.
In a certain manner, right?
Yeah.
There's certain conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the same thing happens in cultures.
Yes.
Totally. One of the things I love to do, which a lot of people know, is I love reading and learning about different cultures, especially historical, religious texts, because they all do say the same thing. But now in this day and time, they've been taken out of context. And a lot of what culture is derived from those texts, those old sacred texts, no matter what region you're from. But I think in each text evolution, there's a point where man, instead of being the soul, lets the mind take over, and it starts being manipulated in a manner in which either to gain power or to gain money or control over, well, I guess that's power, control over people. So I think no matter where
every time.
No matter where you come from or what your religious beliefs, there's been a point in the evolution of it all that everything's been lost. It's taken out of context now. And that's where these conditions and stigmas arise from, these what we call barriers. Yeah. So the reason we say barrier, or at least I say barrier in my definition, is because it's something holding me back from being my most authentic self. And me being my most authentic self encompasses being human, a spirit having a human experience in the world that we live in. And when you grow up in a certain culture, you grow up with these stigmas or labels or rules you have to follow. And when you're being pushed to follow these rules, something inside of you just like collapses and dies, and you just feel miserable because you're not able to live freely through your spirit. And so when I say breaking cultural barriers, it's knowing when to let the spirit come through and that true authentic self that is you be like, you know what, F this. I don't believe in this barrier and I'm gonna break it. and you can either break it with me or you can stay back there. But guess what? I'm going through, and I'm gonna rise.
Yes,
because I know that's what spirit is meant to do.
Yes, and I think that that's so important, not only for yourself, but once you do that, then you break the barriers you have with other people from other cultures.
Oh yeah,
and that is super important because that's what's creating so much of a divide nowadays. It's like, well, actually forever. It's been going on for such a long time. It's like, I'm right. This is the right religion. This is the right thing because this is what our culture says. And your culture isn't right. You know, it's like you guys do something different. You look different. You follow a different religion. And that's not what I believe in. Therefore, it is incorrect. And that in itself is wrong. That is not something that we weren't created so that we can have cultural barriers.
No.
You know, we were created so that we can break the mold, so that we can be our true authentic selves and we could unite with other people and love them for who they are. Because we could sit here and talk all day long about what we think is right based on what our culture taught us was right, and we can stand very firm on our cultural differences and why mine are right and hers are wrong, or why hers are right and mine are wrong.
Yeah.
But that is not helping either of us grow. It wouldn't help us unite or be one. We wouldn't be able to love each other unconditionally if we spoke in that way.
Yeah.
And we are so different. Our cultures are so different, but we are so alike. It's ridiculous. Like, we are so similar because our spirits are the same.
Yeah.
And even if we like different food, we like eating at different times, or we like different spices, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, we are the same. So our culture taught us to eat different things and taught us to follow different things and believe in different things. But our spirit taught us that we're exactly the same.
Yeah.
And that in itself is powerful. And that's, I think, why it's so important for us to talk about these things, because we only see differences to a certain extent. And we need to get to the point where we don't see differences, but we see similarities, and that we are breaking our own cultural barriers as well. Because if my culture raised me to believe in something that I don't believe in, I'm not going to follow it just because it's my culture. Yeah. When you create your own culture, the reason that there's a culture, whoa. Whoa. That was not even me, okay? The reason that there is even culture is because one person was like, oh my god, this is a great idea, and they shared it with their partner, and they shared it with their friends and their family members, and then it just grew, and then everyone just followed the same thing because it's what resonated with everyone. And you have to create your own culture and create something that you believe in, because there's going to be someone that believes in the same thing, and that will create your culture, and it doesn't have to be based on where you come from.
Yeah, and I have to add, just because I'm speaking for myself, just because I call myself someone who breaks the cultural barrier, I'm not knocking the culture in any way, because there's still parts of it that I love and I bring with me, and I'm not and I respect other cultures. That's the difference. Mm-hmm. So there's people who are like, no, your culture's this or that, it's not right or whatever. But the fact of the matter is if you're gonna break your own cultural barrier, you still have to learn to love and appreciate and respect other cultures. Yeah. So it's not to say that you don't have a culture, you don't want any culture, but you don't put other cultures down in the process. No. You still respect what people have, you still respect what people do and their traditions, and that's something I had to learn along the way. Yeah. Like, because
they needed it at that point in time. They created it for a reason. Yeah. You just have to create what you believe in. You know, what is your culture? Yeah. You know, like, I'm going to raise kids to follow a type of culture, and I get to determine what I enjoy from my culture, what I appreciate, the morals and the principles that I take with me, and the ones that I don't, you know, like, so that I can create a culture for my kids in my home. And and then they carry it on and make it whatever they want.
And that was one of the struggles growing up, because I have Indian parents who migrated to America, who in their mind wanted to raise their kids Indian. But I don't know if at any point it dawned on them, or they thought about the fact that you're raising your child now in America. You're bearing your children in America. and you're raising them in America. So they're going to be growing up with two cultures.
Mm-hmm.
So that, for me, that's where conflict always arose, because I felt I was American and I wanted to represent that American culture, but I still held on to some of my Indian traditions, but I didn't fully immerse myself in the Indian traditions because I wanted to be American too. So it's like there was always this internal conflict within myself, because it's like, no, I'm American, but then I have the pressures of my Indian parents and what I have to do as an Indian daughter.
Yeah.
You know, so there was a lot of conflict in that respect. And granted, like, I've got cousins or like even my brother sometimes who just, they knew what they wanted and they just stuck with it. But me personally, I always felt conflicted.
Yeah.
Like, it was, am I doing something to make myself happy, or am I doing it to make my parents happy? Because am I appeasing the American side of me, or am I appeasing the Indian side of me, you know? And it was a struggle. But until I was able to own my own authentic self, that's when I was able to create like a peace amongst both cultures.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that it becomes you.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, this is the culture, so I have to do it. You don't. You don't have to follow anything, and you don't have to like abide by any rules. Even if you are American, you don't have to live the American dream. You don't have to follow. I
That's
still don't even know. That's another topic. Maybe next Tuesday. You know what? Why do you feel the need? Like, even for me, and I think that for me, it was always, it was a battle, because my mom raised me and she was Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
But I loved the Dominican culture. Like, I till this day like get emotional if I listen to Dominican music. I love the food, I love the culture, but I wasn't raised by my Dominican family, and it's like, okay, well, should I not embrace that side of me because I am not raised by them? You know, when I loved it, like, it brings me chills when I talk about it. I just love that side of me so much.
It's part of you.
It's who I am.
Yeah.
And I love it. Is it knocking my Puerto Rican side? Absolutely not. I love my Puerto Rican flavor inside just as much, but I felt as if I had to choose. You know, like, am I going to be Americanized? Am I going to be Puerto Rican and talk like a Puerto Rican? Or am I going to be Dominican and talk like a Dominican and listen to that music, when it's like, I love Frank Sinatra and I love freaking bachata, Anthony Santos, and I also love freaking Mark Anthony. So it's like, why not listen to everything that I like?
Oh,
and eat all of the food that I like combined? And why not be myself with all of the cultures that I come from? Because even if we say, oh, I'm, you know, brought up in Indian culture, like, imagine the ancestors that were like way back from other places that had a different culture, that merged into and evolved into Indian culture. You know, like,
there's still so many different aspects of Indian culture in itself, just based on where in India you're from.
Exactly.
So
it's not just, you don't really just come from that one culture. You know, where I came from was also Spain, and it's like they have their own culture, and we're just...
You're right, because you know what? One of the cultural things I faced, so my family's from Fiji. So we have, our roots are in India, but they migrated to the Fiji Islands, and then, like, my generation's like the first generation American. But then there's also this Indian culture of growing up in Fiji. So it's funny because it's very different. And I know you'll hear about like people from the West Indies, from when Indians ended up on that side, like Trinidad and Tobago and like all those islands over there. And there's a little bit of Indian culture there because it's all when British colonized like all these places, right? But it's funny because when I was in medical school, I would talk to one of my friends, my roommate. She was Indian, Punjabi, from India. Her family went to Toronto, so they're purely Indian from India. And I remember her and I having the discussion about tattoos, because I have tattoos. And for her, that's so not, like, you don't do that in her family, right? But for me, growing up with, like, I remember I've got aunties, my mom's older sisters have tattoos, because it's such an island thing. Like, in Fiji, you get tattoos. And I remember her telling me, because it's such a thing, that she was telling her mom that I was getting a tattoo in Aruba, and her mom was like, oh, well, she's from Fiji, it's okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so it's like, it's not okay for you because you're from India.
But
it's
from
okay
Fiji.
because she's from Fiji. So it's like, then there's that aspect of being
It's crazy.
Indian too, because
Yeah.
I've got my parents wanting to do these traditional things that are Indian from India, but then yet there's these like traditional things from the islands, and then now like I'm creating my own traditional things from America.
And that's
so it's
evolution.
Like, it is.
That's
Yes.
evolution at its best. So
Yes.
stop knocking what you feel.
Yeah.
Stop rejecting what you want to do based on what society or your cultural norms tell you you should do, because you shouldn't do anything. Those cultural norms are created because of people that wanted to do something else.
No, there's no such thing as normal.
No, it's boring. It sucks.
There's normal for you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to follow
But there's
anything.
no normal for everyone.
No, and understand the fact that what you think is normal because of what you see and what you're taught here.
Yeah.
In other countries,
Oh my
that's
God,
not even real. Like,
Yeah.
Like you go to what was the?
I have so many, like, I have
There's
stories from
so
China.
many. Go.
What's
Oh,
normal-
that's right. Because you
Yeah.
went to China. Tell them.
So one of the things which me and my friend and client were talking about was, here, it's very rare that you see like people just, it's gonna be kind of gross, but like doing that and hawking up a loogie and just spitting it. Like we usually blow our nose and toss it in the trash or something.
gosh.
But over there they don't do that. It literally is just like wherever and just spit it out. Yeah, and it's just yeah. But that's the
But
norm
that's theirs.
over there.
Yes.
That's the norm. The norm over there is squatting toilets. They have a few here and there that are American type toilets, but if you go into like a certain public Chinese bathroom, all of them are going to be like the squatting toilets. Not, you might find one American toilet in there for like maybe tourists, but that's the norm there.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, they have better gut health than us here in America because of those squatting toilets.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
It's different.
It is.
It's different.
whether you go to Europe or anywhere,
There are different norms. There are different
Cultural
cultural
norms,
norms
yeah.
that they think are right.
Yes.
And really stand firm on.
yes,
And then they look at us and they're like, oh, those Americans. And it's
Yeah.
like stupid. It's like, what in the world? We're all human beings and we're taught these things, but we don't choose what we want to do. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You know, you have to really take from your cultures, where you come from, what you were taught, what you want and what you believe in. Like,
and
learn
what you
about
love,
it. Yeah.
what
like,
you want to hold on
what
to.
is it that you think is worth teaching?
Yes.
What is it that you think is worth spreading?
What's
What
the
is
value?
it that's valuable
Yes.
to you?
Yeah.
And with those things, then you could incorporate it into your teachings and you can incorporate it into your life. And if you like turmeric because your country said that turmeric heals all problems, then like freaking put it on all of your food. If you are like, this is stupid, that doesn't make any sense, then don't use it. Don't use it.
Yeah.
If you think coconut oil is the whatever, like Vicks, if you
It
think
solves
Vicks,
everything.
yeah, it's Vicks heals everything. Okay, it is. Vaporu is like the magic cure to every single freaking thing. If you want to believe that and teach that to your kids, then do it. But
Yeah.
if you're like, no, that doesn't work, I've tried it, I don't want to carry it on, it's not part of my culture anymore, don't use it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. You know, it's your choice at the end of the day.
Yeah. And learn. Because for me growing up, I'd have my mom tell me certain things that were like Indian remedies or whatnot.
Uh-huh.
And I would always, being the American kid that I was, why? Like I would always ask, why? Why should I do this? Why should I not do that?
Yeah.
And she never had a reason or an explanation.
It's just because.
And I'm one of those people that I need the explanation. And as I grew up, and then I took the Ayurveda course, and in that course I learned the root of why my mom was telling me these things.
Yeah.
And for her it was just passed down and you just blindly followed it.
Mm-hmm.
But for me I needed the logical
I like that.
explanation.
I like that though, because I think if you are more educated on why certain things are used or why they are part of your culture, then you have more of an understanding as to
Exactly.
why you should or shouldn't incorporate
Yeah.
them. Because if like you learn the reason behind it and you realize that it has
Benefits.
truth and
Yeah.
benefit to what your culture is saying, then you should use it and incorporate it.
Yeah.
Because then you know that it is for a valid reason. But
Yeah.
if you realize that it was just this random guy that just made up this cocktail and that became part of your culture, then you can let it go and you're like, okay, it doesn't have value.
Yeah. So one of the I remember this conversation so well. I don't know if my cousins remember it, but there was going to be a religious function at my cousin's house in Riverside. This was probably like maybe 10 years ago. And we were sitting around talking, and we somehow came about the conversation of like, why do Hindus do some of the rituals that they do when it comes to like the fire and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
And at that time, I questioned everything. So we were joking around how like, man, they started it so many years ago. Who knows if some pundit was just like, oh, do it like this, and then everyone was doing it, and then it just spread. And we're like, yeah, like if we're at this one and we're like, everyone has to wear white tube socks, and we did it every time, then 10 years from now, everyone will be wearing white tube socks during these religious functions.
So funny. That's so funny. It's true.
But then taking the class and learning a little more history about Hinduism in the sense of like the Vedas, it is explained in some way, but the rituals were taken literally from what the Vedas said.
Exactly.
The Vedas a lot talk about the fire within yourself, but yet Hindus use a literal fire, and it's just, you wonder about the evolvement of it.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, and that's, I think when you know about the evolvement of it, or you know where it comes from, then it gives you this understanding.
Yes.
And then you are like, oh, well, that makes sense. I want to use that, or I don't want to use that, or I want to see it that way, or I don't. Like, even certain religions, you know, like when you're brought up in a certain culture, you have to follow a religion, even if you don't resonate with it. And that doesn't make sense to me, because
it's why people start resenting it.
Religion. Yeah. And even, I mean, like when you're Hispanic, you're Catholic, Christian, or a babalao. Like you're either brujeria, like witchcraft. You do witchcraft, you're Catholic or you're Christian. And if you do anything other than that, you're like not Hispanic. It's just what you're expected to do. And if you, like my mom and I always talk about how, like, if she'll chant, or if she like has her positive affirmations or her mantras, or she talks about goddesses, my grandma or anyone in the family that's really like religious will say like, you know, God is a jealous God, you know, like you can't talk about those things, you can't. Or Emmy, you know, like my uncle would say like, oh, witchcraft, you know, and like run out of the room, and we laugh about it and it's funny, but the reason they really strongly believe, like he really genuinely believes that we're doing witchcraft when we're like,
but for him it's mantras. He holds his culture. Yeah,
because it's like, you're Catholic, Christian, you believe in Jesus Christ, the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, and that's it. You do not believe in goddesses and gods. Like that goes against me. I am a goddess. No, get out of here. It's like that goes totally against what is right in that culture. And because I really don't associate myself with a certain religion, I don't believe in those things. And that's like, I have found that I can resonate with Hinduism, I can resonate with Buddhism, I can resonate with Christianity.
Everything. Because they're all the same.
It's one.
Yeah.
You know, and I have chosen that through the different cultures that I've been exposed to. But if you're not exposed to any other cultures, which I think is another huge importance, expose yourself to other cultures. Like travel, communicate with people from different cultures, and see why they have those cultural norms, because it's pretty interesting, you know.
I think we'll end it here because this topic can go on
forever.
For a long time. But I'll end it with, there's no right or wrong way. There's just the way that resonates within you.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Whatever you feel good doing is what you should do. Even if that's like 5 religions combined.
Yeah, that's mine. Love.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you guys so much.
We love you. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, follow us on social media.
Peña _Pequeña.
Yes.
Didn't mess up this time.
Love.soul.fit. And much love to you. We'll see you next week.